what's on your mind. You talk it out. You got the time. You thought about it. Let's talk about it. No doubt about it. I got you. VALTRENDA all day.
Welcome to the ValTrenda Show. Happy Saturday. It's the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Thank you so much for joining us every Saturday at noon. We are so grateful that you're here. This is your first time. Welcome. Welcome. It's a safe space and we talk about everything mental health, but we go a little bit more specific and we talk about melanated mental health because it's so time, right? As you know, we stay true to our objective, and our objective is to bring more than just awareness to our Black and Brown community, but not just that, education as well. Here we educate and we talk about everything melanated mental health related. By this time, you should have began your preparation into your very own PPP. Again, it's not the PPP loan, but it's your post-pandemic plans. And this should include all of your plans for making it out of COVID-19 safely and in a healthy manner. Last week, we talked about your PPP Dream Team. Now, that Dream Team consists of the following: our physical body, our outer body presentation, our soul, and our mind. Now, today, let's talk about our PPP plans, right? Let's talk about our physical body. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. Have you found a PCP? All these P's, child, they throwing me off. Your primary care physician. This is the person that checks your blood, your levels, your sugar, all of this. You have to see these people on a regular. What about your dentist? When was the last time you actually had a teeth cleaning? Have you asked yourself that? What about your eyes? Are you squinting to even look at this screen right now that you're looking at? Are you squinting? Have you seen an optometrist? Have you? Because this should be a part of your plan. What about a personal trainer? An OBGYN? Now I'm going to stop there because an OBGYN is so important. My Black and Brown ladies, listen, we have got to get checked yearly. Each year, we need to get our precious jewel looked at, examined, because we need it. I need mine. I don't know about you, but I need mine, and I need to be perfectly healthy, okay? So now that we've included a list of our Black and Brown providers, and we put them on our website. So please take a look at them and start making those appointments. Pick up the phone and call. I am going to make mine. So we're going to be right back with more of the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health.
All right, Mocha Marvels, we're moving to Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So please be sure to check us out. Bring family and friends. Get your little, what in the morning, Corey?
We're going to add a little flavor to your morning blend, but just now.
Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show. So today we continue our We Don't Talk About BRUNO series. Today's BRUNO is domestic violence. For those that have join the ValTrenda Show, or you're just now joining, you've seen the movie Encanto. So we don't talk about Bruno sounds a little familiar to you, right? So Bruno is the son of the matriarch of the family who has a very special gift. But because he told the truth about some things that the family really didn't want to hear, or they didn't really want to receive, he was basically told to shut up. That sound familiar to you? Maybe you've gone through some things in your life and your family told you to shut up, but they traumatized you, right? So Bruno represents everything in the Black and brown community that we don't talk about. First show, suicide. The second show, molestation. Today, domestic violence. Domestic violence is pretty dear to me because my mom is a survivor of domestic violence. And we're going to have her on our show later down the line because I have to make that like really, really big. She's such a strong person. But today we're talking about domestic violence. So let me go into what domestic violence really is. So domestic violence or domestic abuse describes a range of behavior, right? Ranging from verbal abuse, threats and intimidation, manipulative behavior, physical and sexual assault. Okay, sometimes it can even lead to homicide. Even this week in the news, or actually it was a couple weeks ago, you guys have heard of Columbus Short. Columbus Short was Harrison on Scandal. Now he's gotten in some trouble before, right? But this time he's got in trouble for domestic violence. The police responded to a call regarding a verbal altercation between him and his wife, Ada. Now, according to People, he tells the police that she hit him in the face. But after the police have reviewed her and looked her over, she apparently didn't have any marks on, he told them that she hit him. So they observe him. They don't see anything on his face, but they do see things on her face. So then he goes to jail, right? How many times have we heard this, right? So let's talk about what domestic violence is, right? Domestic violence and domestic abuse. 1 in 3 women globally are directly affected by domestic abuse. 1 in 6 men will experience domestic abuse. Yes. 1 in 5 children will have been exposed to domestic abuse. So let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about teen domestic violence. Nearly 1.5 million. 1.5 million high school students nationwide experience some type of physical abuse from a dating partner in 1 year. On today's show, we speak with Danny, a 29-year-old creative artist, makeup artist, hair, makeup, everything, but also a domestic violence survivor. We're going to speak with her. So listen to her story as she shares her personal encounter with domestic violence as a teenager, fresh out of high school. Welcome everyone back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. And I'm here with my special guest today. I'm so excited. So if you've seen Danny's name, her name is Danny. She is a creative artist. Obviously, you can see her artistry in the background there. And she does hair and makeup. So you might have seen her name somewhere, typically on the credits of this very show, because she's also my own personal makeup artist. So different shows, you'll see my makeup looks better than some, sometimes. So welcome, everybody. Miss Danny. Hi, Danny.
Hello, everyone.
I'm very excited to have you on the show today. And typically I am very, very excited. So my face is all like lit up, although we're talking about something very, very serious. So let's just get right to it. Danny, you have been a personal victim of domestic violence. Is that right?
Yes, I have. I actually experienced domestic violence in my life when I was 17 years old until I was 18. It was definitely a pivotal moment in my life, but just the experience in itself took me to really dark places. Being in a domestic violence relationship at such a young age, I'm developing my relationship patterns. And because my parents were married my whole life and I never saw them argue or fight, when these things presented themselves in my own relationships, I didn't know how to handle them. So I became like a people pleaser kind of thing. And unknowingly, I was in a relationship with someone who suffered from bipolar disorder. And at that time, mental health definitions were not as prevalent as they are now. But during that time, the experience was very traumatic. I can't tell you how many times I've been punched, kicked. I remember keys being like stabbed into my thighs. But it never got to as it started, it didn't come to where people could see the pain or see the physical things that I was experiencing, because he would hit me in places that nobody could see. So him not hitting me in my face made it to where I was able to, postpone people knowing what was even going on. And I also, because I've suffered from sexual assault, prior and earlier in my life, that caused me to stay silent, just out of fear and not wanting to have people tell me that I shouldn't be with them. And I really cared. And I just wanted to be the one person that wouldn't fail him, and just being, wanting to be, like I said, a people pleaser. So I found myself in a domestic violence relationship, and it was hard to get out of. But when I finally got out of it, it wasn't an easy escape either. So I found, just because I wanted to leave didn't make the process of leaving easier. And it wasn't until I actually had to seek the help of my family. And even that kind of was challenging, because I had, looked to them for help prior, but I went back. So I kind of put a stress on them and their willingness to help me.
Wow. So that by itself is a lot that you just said in just those couple of minutes. So let me, for clarification, this person was your boyfriend, fiance, husband? Which one?
No, he was my boyfriend. I had just graduated high school and he was still in high school. But yeah, he was my boyfriend, and I had just moved from my hometown that I grew up in my whole life. And the last month of me in high school, I moved to this city, to Sacramento. And when I moved there, I didn't know anybody. And the first person that I met and got, close with is the person that I ended up being in this relationship with. And I didn't really take the time to get to know him, because I was kind of just like, I just want to be with somebody. I just don't want to be out here by myself. And that caused me, I didn't pay attention to obvious signs. And I had already invested myself to be someone in his life that wasn't going to fail him. So I had just made that choice and I committed to it. And it was like, by any means.
It's interesting that even at 17 years old, you were trying to help someone control something that, really they obviously didn't have control over, and that you could nowhere in life really control this for that person, right?
True. I've always had a sense of wanting to help. Like, my family makes fun of me all the time for it, is, I find people who are just in need of something, you know, and I always just try to achieve or try to get it for them, or not get it for them, but like encourage them to get to that place. And I value being used in that way. So I've always kind of been that type of person. And the empathy that I have, I'm an empath. So just naturally, that's where I find usefulness of myself. So when I see somebody who's going through something, and in his situation, he was also attractive, you know, he was cute. So, you know, I was 17. I was like, oh, he could be my boo. He could play basketball real good. Like, you know, there were things that I was attracted to about him. And it wasn't until I started to get to know him, literally the second day of our dating, we went to go get job applications to fill out. And I was talking to one of his foster brothers. We were like talking about the application. And as we're discussing this, he was calling my name, but he was saying it so faintly, I could not hear him. So he thought I was ignoring him. And so he walks away, and I'm like, that was dramatic. Like, what just happened? And I'm confused. And now I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I messed up. Maybe I did something. So now I'm overcompensating, knowing I didn't do anything wrong. I still wanted to figure out what was the problem. So when I asked him, he was saying that I was ignoring him. And I was like, you know, please forgive me. I didn't know that I was doing that. I was not what I was trying to do. And then I'm seeing the sensitivity that he has. I'm seeing like and he lets the sensitivity overwhelm him. And I'm like, but at the time I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm tripping. And I always took it that way. So when you're not looking for it to be, you're not looking at it for like literally what's happening. You're looking at it to solve the problem. Like, okay, you're upset, let's fix it. And that was always the mission, but not always the success.
Wow.
So when I'm putting effort to be helpful, he's not receiving it as help. And so he becomes violent. And it started with just squeezing my arm. It started with, you know, just like pushing me against the wall, pushing me out of his way. It was like little subtle things that I'm like, okay, you know, that's simple. But when you correlate it back to childhood, my discipline from my parents was I would get spanked if I did something really bad. But they weren't like, my parents weren't abusive, but like just the discipline structure, I correlated, there's bad behavior, you get some type of response. That it may be a physical response depending on how the caliber of what it is. And when I got into a relationship, I just applied that there, and I didn't take it to be that he didn't care about me. I'm like, oh, he wants me to do this a certain way. So he's trying to teach me or adjust me to be that.
And do you think that we, as, you know, especially growing up, right? The biggest thing that you said there was that you took something from your childhood, you know, you getting a spanking or some type of discipline because you did something wrong. You took that into your relationship as, okay, I did something wrong, then I should be punished, right? So do you think that type of mindset took you through that whole entire relationship? Like that's what you had to justify what was going on?
Yes, it kind of gave it a foundation of it's not that bad.
Wow. So let me go to a break real quick, and then we're going to come right back and talk more with Danny about this situation, because it is definitely something we need to talk about in our Black and Brown community, domestic violence. We're going to be right back with the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health.
Hello, everybody. I'm Liz Everett.
And I'm Stephanie J.
Don't forget to watch The Fab Lab at 11 a.m. on Saturdays. We are all about fashion and the art of beauty, among other things in our laboratory.
We are right before the ValTrenda Show on the Mocha Media Network.
Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. And we are continuing our conversation, our series. We don't talk about Bruno, but on the ValTrenda Show, we do talk about Bruno. And today's Bruno is domestic violence. And we're talking about domestic violence, the severity of it, but we're more so talking directly with someone who's had a personal experience with domestic violence at a very young age. Miss Danny's here, and Danny's sharing with us her personal experience of domestic violence with a boyfriend that she had when she was 17 years old. Now, typically we hear about domestic violence and we think Ike and Tina Turner, right?
Yeah.
You think about Ike and Tina Turner, these are adults, and you don't really think that teenagers go through this because they're still in the home with their parents. And, typically those that are in domestic violence situations, sometimes they're cohabitating. They live together. Danny, were you and your boyfriend at the time living together?
We were not. We lived near each other. So our access to each other was regular. But no, we did not live together. I feel like teenagers, we don't hear about it often with teenagers because, and it's very common. That's very, very common. It's just, you don't hear about it because they're protecting what they think what they think love is. They have attachment to, especially if they have attachment issues from, relationships of like family members. Maybe they don't have their parents. Maybe they had to, move and live with other people. Like just whatever their circumstances are, there's always a reason as to why we find attachment to people and we hold on for dear life because we're like, no, this is the only one I want. This one so bad. And we don't even see other options of other people that could be more valuable to us. So we just take what we can get and make it work.
Yeah. And, it's interesting with you being so young, like we don't really talk about like how old young adults start, but it's 1 in 3 young people who really experience some type of abusive relationship or unhealthy relationship. Typically, it's about 33% of adolescents in America are usually dealing with some type of emotional dating abuse or anything like 33%. So if you're looking at 100% of our teens, 33% of them are dealing with domestic violence relationships. So tell me, Danny, in your experience, what did it take for you to talk about it? What did it take for you to get to a place where you were at one point really like, okay, we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about domestic violence. We don't talk about this. But in your case, at some point you did. When did that happen?
For me, the first time that my family found out about what was even happening at all, we had gotten to a physical altercation because I was trying to leave. My shoes we took our shoes off at his home. Normally when you come in, you set them in the front, go about your business, put them on when you leave. When I came to get my shoes, when I was on my way home, my shoes were not in the spot that I left them in. So I'm looking around, I asked for his help to find the shoes. He decided to go around and make me look crazy to his family. Like, who doesn't, know where their shoes are? How dumb do you have to be? So it was the mental abuse. And I'm like, not doing this. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk home barefoot. And if you find my shoes, then you can bring my shoes to me. So as I'm trying to make my way out the door, he pulls the hood of my jacket and my zipper catches my throat. And from my past experiences, my neck is a sensitive area and I don't like people to touch, do none of that. So when he did it, it was a trigger. And I'm like, and I didn't even know it was a trigger. I had no idea what a trigger was at the time. So it just sent me in like, don't touch me, don't do that. So now I'm getting more amped up. He's getting more amped up and he's trying to control the situation, but he's being violent about it. He has a sister who suffered from schizophrenia. So when she opened up her door and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, can you please get your brother because he's getting unreasonable. And she's like, I don't want no parts. So you're sitting here, you're seeing I'm experiencing something and I'm asking for help and you can't, it won't help me. Bet. So then there's another door I had to get to. And by the time I made it to that door, we're in full swing. So he literally took me, body slammed me to the ground, picked me up, bit my nose. Like I had contusions. It was a real full on scuffle and I'm losing like terribly. His neighbors started to see. So this is the first time that other people who, you know, it got beyond just the quarters of where he would be abusive. Normally it was in a secluded room, just me and him. So when now you're being openly violent and you're embarrassing me, you're bringing attention to our situation that I was willing to keep under wraps. And now I have to choose something that I don't even want to choose, which is myself. That was something that was difficult for me and shouldn't be, but because of the space that I was mentally on a self-love, it was non-existent. So my value of love was all in him. And for him to be violent and embarrass me in front of people who now want to step in and get help for me, I was angry. I was very angry at the people who wanted to help me because I was embarrassed. When I finally was able to leave, his neighbors welcomed me into their home. They called my parents, sent, you know, my family like running down the street and they're wanting to like hurt him and fight him. And it was just like this big situation. And come to find out the shoes that I was looking for, his sister had the exact same pair and she mistakenly took my shoes to go to the store. So it just was like a really, I felt like it was an outer body experience when they started taking my pictures for the evidence. I'm standing there, I look lifeless. I look lost. I look just empty. And when I look back at those pictures, I realized I had to be a voice for someone who goes through the same experience that I found myself in. And in learning how to navigate how I even found myself there, I had to put together the pieces of my patterns and be accountable for them. Yes, he put his hands on me. Yes, he did these things. But I also have to consider the fact that he did suffer from a mental illness and it was unattended. There are so many people who are diagnosed with these types of mental health disorders and they are not given or they don't take advantage of the support. There are supportive, you know, entities and resources, but typically the people in those states of mind either don't choose that for themselves and they don't see a need, or, you know, it's just not, once they're diagnosed, it's just kind of like, it's at your discretion if you choose to do this, when they're not capable of truly making that decision consciously.
Danny, how did it affect your mental health? I mean, years go by. How does it or did it affect your own mental health?
At the time that I was going through it, I learned the value of numbing. It sounds crazy, but I learned the value of numbing. Numbing my feelings allowed me to continue through my life and continue on as if nothing happened. I wanted to forget it that bad. I wanted to act like it didn't happen that bad. And I left it alone for a while. But what triggered me and what always triggers me is if I'm a witness to or I know about someone else being hurt. It's different for me when it's just me. The breaking point for me when I finally was like done with him and like really cut it off, because after that incident where we got really physical, I went back. The time that it took for me to cut him off was when he broke into our home. He climbed our home, broke into my bedroom, and was hiding in my room. And I did not know that my niece was staying the night with us and she was asleep in my bed. So now you're crossing bounds of where it was just about me being harmed by you. And you've now introduced my family to this violence as well. And for me, that was the breaking point. Mentally, at that time, I chose to be done with him from that moment. But I still resented him. I still was angry. And anytime something like him was in my spirit or around me, I became more aggressive toward it because it was like my way of getting back at him through, other people, I don't know, or through other situations that didn't even apply to me. But because my experience that I shared with someone who's going through it, I choose to speak up for them, even though I wasn't always able to speak up for myself.
Wow. And that's pretty deep. That's deep. And I can't imagine how that must have been for you. But however, I'm so glad that you were able to get out of it. I'm so glad that you were able to survive it. And today you're living a much, much healthier life. You're living a much, much healthier mentally, you're healthier. And I'm so proud of you for that. So Danny, thank you again. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. And where can we find more information about you, what you do, all this beautiful art behind you? And my understanding, this is a way you express yourself. This is a way you express your life. So tell me, where can we find your information to look into more about how you're becoming whole, how you've succeeded?
So I'm actually in the middle of writing my book, so it's not available just yet. However, I still share insight to these things on my Facebook, Danielle Nicole. That's DANYELLENICOLE. So Danielle Nicole. And you can follow my art on Pretty Dope Artistry on Instagram or Facebook. And for any inquiries about any of my creativity, you can always email me at daniellejohnson2020@gmail.com.
Danny, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming on the ValTrenda Show. We're going to be back, everybody, with more of the ValTrenda Show. We're going to talk more about why we don't talk about Bruno. This Bruno is getting on my nerves, okay? We'll be back with more of the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Happy Black History Month. I really could do this all year, not just this month, but today I celebrate the Black woman who created a way for Black women like me. I salute this Black woman for breaking barriers, for busting out the windows, not of the car, but of entrepreneurship and philanthropy. A multi-billionaire, a Black woman who has so many notches under her belt, the belt could go around the world twice. Author, talk show host, television producer, actress, and philanthropist, Miss Oprah Winfrey. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. I have to let y'all know that I have to put a lot of emphasis on headquarters because I have to let y'all know that the ValTrenda Show is it, okay? Your headquarters for melanated mental health. So listen, it's that time again that I have to beat you guys down with talking about self-care. It's so important. It is so important that we deal with ourselves internally, externally. And then again, it brings us back to the PPP, right? Our post-pandemic plans. What are we planning on doing now that the pandemic is kind of easing its way out of here? Last week, I introduced you all to my very own PPP, which is my health journey, right? I'm working hard at my very own PPP, and I need you guys to join me. I need your videos. I need your pictures. I need all of that. So part of me putting together my own PPP to take better care of myself was getting in the gym. Now, I want to look better because, I look good, but I need to look better. I want to be in the best shape that I can be. I need my numbers to be normalized and all of that. So I've gotten some blood work done. They came back, thank God, great. All of my numbers came back great, but that didn't give me the okay to stop. If anything, it made me go a little bit harder. So even though I look good, definitely want to keep it that way. So last week, you guys got a glimpse of me in the gym killing it, right? I was like, man. Well, this week, it was tough. This week was tough. I really was like, I ain't feeling it. I want to get out of the gym. So you might even see the struggle on my face because it was hard being consistent at staying in the gym, working out, sweating. And then you see this fresh blowout. You think I want to, child? So listen, I wanted to pick up a dumbbell and throw it out the window, but I didn't. I kept my cool. Because I don't quit. I don't quit. So watch this. Okay, so look. First of all, it's hot out here, okay? Secondly, I was trying to find my light. Secondly, I'm working, okay? I'm putting in my work, I'm doing what I gotta do because I need to. I have to take care of myself. Nobody's going to take care of me like I take care of me. So let's get this work in. Let's go. Let's do it. Self-care. Love yourself. That's one. I ain't ready to see Jesus yet. Okay.
No. Oh shoot, I ain't recording.
Listen, working out, it makes me feel good. Like I get to release all of these endorphins and I'm excited and I'm like, yay, the fat's burning, all of this stuff. And it just reminds me that I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit. I can't let anybody see me quit, and I don't want to quit because I need this. I need to do this. But I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I hate going to the gym. I don't even like sweating. Like, I think working out is stupid. For real. Can somebody else do it for me?
Hey, ValTrenda.
Yeah.
You can't tell your audience members that you hate working out. You're supposed to be inspiring.
But I do. I don't like working out. I hate it.
I understand, dear, but come on, let's give them a little inspiration. It's the ValTrenda Show.
All right, I'm ready. I love working out.
Hello, I'm Tramika, and I'm here really quickly to share with you all some things that makes me happy. I'm happy that God sees fit, that he wakes me up every day, clothed me in my right and sound mind. I'm very happy and grateful that God sees fit. I'm happy to spend time with my husband, my children, family, and friends, creating those valuable moments and memories that we all hold so dear to our hearts. I'm happy to be able to lead, motivate, inspire, encourage, and be there for others. One of my greatest mottos is one can't effectively lead if they cannot serve. Servanthood is another thing that I hold dear to my heart, and I find joy and pleasure in serving. I'm also happy that God saw fit to bless me with an amazing career where I can travel around the world and spread hope, joy, love, and positivity to others that may not know what that looks like or even feels like. I hope you guys have a blessed day and continue to be happy.
It's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great. It's Saturday. You guys get to do whatever you want to do. Drink your mimosas for the rest of the day for all I care. But make sure that you stay happy, stay healthy, give yourself grace. To all of you that stayed and watched the show, thank you so much. Thank you to all the producers, everybody that works behind scene. Thank you all. Until next time, don't let anyone steal your happiness. Remember to give yourself grace. And as always, show love.